Hey guys, Bronco Off Grid here. Just want to take a few minutes and talk about my aftermarket light bar, and I'm going to teach you guys actually how to install it step by step. So there's multiple ways that you can install aftermarket light bars. So this one's not from Ford. This is actually a 50-inch rough country light bar. I love that it's real sleek. That's why I went with this one. It really fills the whole windshield and it puts off like an insane amount of light. And there's actually 3 different ways that you can install these. So the first way is the way that Rough Country would want you to do it, is the wire that comes off of it, you would run down the windshield and you would take off the antenna, take it through here, wire it to the battery, and then you would take the switch through the firewall. But to be honest, that's not the way you would want to do it with the Bronco, because you already have the auxiliary switches in. So that leaves you with 2 different methods if you want to hook them up to the auxiliary switches. First one would be that you're going to mount them up right on the mounting brackets that come equipped with 21 to 24 Broncos. And you're going to take this wire in right here. And actually there's an orange wire right underneath here that you could actually fish out and hook up to. But we actually found that the third method was really the easiest and most efficient and cleanest look way. So what I did is I took the straight auxiliary power right off of the light bar. I drilled a hole right here into the bracket, and then I drilled a hole underneath the bracket and took it right underneath. And I'll show you guys what I did here. So you basically have to take off all these panels. So you pull down the visor here, you just give it a tug, you take down this little plastic piece, there's a 10mm nut, you pull this out, you take off this panel, this panel, this panel, this panel, and you can pull this wire straight down. And that's where you're gonna make your first connections underneath. There's a white and brown wire, which is your power to the auxiliary number 1 switch, which is where you're going to want to hook that up with the 30-amp fuse. I just used a little butt connector and heated it up, wired that in. You're going to attach that to that brown and white connector, and then you're going to wire that in. And then once you do so, you have to take the black wire, and underneath this panel right here, there's a nut down there that you can ground that. So that's going to be your first set of connections. And then before you put everything together, you obviously want to make sure it works. And I'll show you where underneath the hood and where the fuse panel is where you're going to make the other connection. So underneath the hood, for auxiliary number 1 is going to be your yellow connector. You're going to find the yellow connector, and then you're going to have to fish down here for the white and brown. And again, I made another quick connect with a heat shrink wrap, and you heat it up, wire that in. So after you get this connection done, that connection done, there's a few things you want to do to make sure that it doesn't leak, because you obviously just drilled a hole in your roof. Underneath the bracket, we used some windshield adhesive, and I used a rubber kind of grommet to sit inside the steel there. And once I did that, I zipped everything up, and yeah, I mean, works great, and it's a pretty easy connection. It's just pretty much 2 wires that you have to wire together and all the panels, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So, and these are your auxiliary switches. So once you get everything wired in, like I said, you want it on auxiliary 1 for the 30-amp fuse, turn it to the accessory, and then boom, you pop her on. And I'll show you what it looks like in the front. So yeah, pretty simple for the 21-24 Broncos. If you guys have any questions, just leave it in the comments. I can answer as many as I can, but I appreciate you watching. Thanks, guys.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear. that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just